Hello and welcome to my review of the 1 to 100 scale Master Grade Gundam Astray Red Frame. In this first part of the review, we shall be going over the box, the manual, the plates, and the physical parts of the Gundam. This is the box art of the 1 to 100 scale Master Grade Red Frame Kai. As you can see, in the top right hand corner there is the Master Grade logo, and in the bottom right hand corner there is the Bandai logo, which is a company that makes Gunpla. Now, behind the cover of the Master Grade Red Frame Kai, there are the words Gundam Astray Red Frame, Low Guild's customizable suit, which is pretty common to Master Grade box arts. Now, above the Master Grade Red Frame, you can see the Blue Frame, second revised, as well as a Nebula Blitz and a Nebula Blitz behind the Red Frame. This is the side of the Master Grade Red Frame box, and here you have a front view of the Master Grade 1/100th Gundam Astray Red Frame Kai with its tactical arm 2L, as well as both the Gabera Straight and the Tiger Pierce. Here is a rear view with the tactical arms in its V form. Now here it shows the stuff about the Master Grade Red Frame, including the figure, the cockpit open gimmick, as well as the marking and decals that you get with this kit. Onto the other side, you have the tactical arms in its flight form, as well as the Gundam Astray using its katanas. Also shows that that this kit gives you a Action Base 2 to hold up the giant tactical arms. And here you have the front shot of the same shot over there. Onto the side, you have the typical side art of the Master Grade line. Here it shows the katanas, the Gabera Straight, and the Tiger Pierce, and it shows that they are chrome plated and they have their kanji on the handle. And there's a slit on the handguard that allows you to see the actual kanji. Now here it talks about the series that this Gundam came from, which is Gundam Seed vs. Astray. And here it shows off the tactical arm 2L, including its sword form and arrow form. Now, onto this side, you get to see a unpainted, straight out of the box, Master Grade Red Frame, with the two katanas, the action base, the figure, the tactical arms, the plates, and the actual Gundam itself. And as you can see here, this Gundam retails for the price of 5,000 Japanese yen, or about $50 over here. These are the sprues of the Master Grade Red Frame. However, as I've already built the model kit, I cannot show you all the parts on the runners. Now, there are a total of 27 runners, but be careful, there are a lot of small runners that can easily break. So there is an average about 23 whole runners, with a lot of them being reused from the Master Grade Blue Frame second revise. Now, the most distinguished plate around here is probably the chrome plate, which will contain the blades used for the Gabera Straight, as well as the Here is a quick look at the Master Grade Red Frame's manual. And on top you have Low Guild's personal signature, the name of the mobile suit, some nice clean art, as well as the Master Grade symbol, and Bandai's logo. Now, when you first flip it open, you first get some background information, a guide to the fictional parts of this Gundam, how to cut off the parts, as well as the parts you will be building, and how to cut up the parts with your snippers. Onto the next page, you get the map of the runners. Now, there are a total of 27. However, there are some really small runners, which sometimes can be easily broken. Now, moving on, you get to the chest part. After building the chest, you move on to the head, which is a very fun build. After the head, we get to move on to the shoulder units and the arms, and then assemble the top of the body. Moving on, we get to build the legs, which for anyone who's built the Master Grade Blue Frame are very impressive and very fun to build. After you finish a leg, you will assemble the entire lower part of the body, and then move on to the splash page, where you have a picture of Master Grade Red Frame Kai using its tactical arm in work form, as well as it going into battle, fighting against the Nebula Blitz. Now here we have a paint guide of how to paint the figure, what this kit will look like if you just line it with a lining marker, and the tactical arms, as well as the katanas, and two of the forms of the tactical arms backpack. Moving on, we get some nice information on the arrow form, bead torch, Guevara Strait, and Tiger Pierce, as well as some nice line art. However, I don't really understand what they're exactly saying, as I don't speak Japanese, or read it. Next, moving on, we built the waist section, which is pretty simple, and then we assemble the lower part of the body, and then eventually the entire body. Now we move on to the weapons, which includes the 2 katanas, the Guevara Strait, the Tiger Pierce, and the Tactical Arms 2L. We first begin to construct the Tactical Arms 2L, then the handle, then we are about halfway done with it. We then build the 2 blades, and snap it together to form the Tactical Arms. Then, building the katanas are pretty simple, as we just build the sheath, the blade is pretty simple, string them together, and build the attachment. And the final part of this is the display base, which is an action base 2, which does come with this kit. And it is used mainly to hold up the Tactical Arms 2L, which is ridiculously heavy. Now, after building the action base, we move on to how to actually use the Tactical Arms, as well as putting it on the back, how to use the two katanas, how to attach the action base, how to attach the katanas, as well as the transformation of the Tactical Arms, which first shows steps into the arrow form, and then eventually into the flight form, and then the delta form, and the, I think it was V form. And then it shows you how it will look once you actually attach it to the Gundam. And it also shows that you can use the action base to prop up the Gundam while in flight mode, but I personally don't recommend it. It also shows the cockpit open gimmick as well as the how to attach the action base connector. Next, we have the page of how to apply all the decals and stickers, and even shows some actual pictures of it because a lot of the decals and stickers on this kit go across many surfaces. Though it is kind of annoying to apply, the results are actually pretty cool. And finally, on the back, we have a very nice, lightly lined picture of the 1/100 scale Master Grade Gundam Astray Red Frame Kai. Here are all the parts of the Master Grade 100 Red Frame, or the ones the manual will tell you to build. But in this part of the review, we will be going over the actual physical parts of the Gundam, and we will go over the accessories and the action base in part. Here is the head of the Master Grade Red Frame, and here I've already connected the neck. But overall, it is a very cool looking head, and has a lot of details. But one small problem I found is that this V-fin can fall off pretty easily, so be careful with that. But other than that, this is a very fun to build head, and it looks great, and it really does fit the overall scheme of this Gundam. Here we have the chest of the Gundam, which has a lot of gray, making up the entire flap, as well as most of the upper chest, sorry. And overall, it looks very well, and the gray looks very good with the overall color scheme. Now, for mobility, it can rock off to side pretty well. It can move in and out a fairable amount, and the backpack flap can lift up and down, and it has a cool sliding mechanism. However, some of these parts do tend to fall off, but it should stay there once you plug the arms in. Now, for the cockpit gimmick, you simply pull this part out and slide it up, and there you can see a small little low guild sitting in there. It's a very cool cockpit, and it was very fun to build. Here we have the arm of the Gundam, which overall looks very good, with majority of the white being on the back of the arm, and a lot of red exposed on top, with just this white strip, which is put together very cleverly. Now, starting with the shoulders, it looks very nice and very clean. Now, if you take the time to apply the dry decals, as well as put in some gray lining, you can really make the shoulder look good. On the back, it is very ingenious how they did this. The inside part is very detailed, which I just used a real touch marker to make it stand out even more, and then you put this grill-like piece over it to complete the entire shoulder. Now, for the actual bend of the arm, you are going to get a very nice 180. Did you notice that this part slid? Very nicely done by Bandai. Now, in addition to the 180, there is also another slide mechanism right here that allows the arm to go past the 180 mark. Now, onto the hands, which is a typical Master Grade hand, with the thumb being separate, the trigger finger being separate, and the other 3 hands being a solid piece. There is a peg in the middle to attach to the tactical arm handle and the handles of the katanas. Now, when you first get this hand, it is all going to be in the same red as the rest of the body. So you will have to use a white Gundam marker or some paint in order to make it look more like an anime or the perfect grade. I decided to use the perfect grade colors because doing the manga or the anime colors would have been way too difficult for this small size. But other than that, this is a great arm and it was very, very easy. Here is the waist unit of the Gundam, which is pretty much identical to its Master Grade blue frame counterpart. However, you do get some decals, which will help distinguish the two. Now, for moving parts, the side pockets or side skirts do flip, but there isn't much point to them. These are part of the legs, and they stick in very well, so do not risk pulling them out. As you can see, I have attached the action base connector, which attaches and latches in very tightly, and I did not want to risk breaking any parts to pull this off. Now, the front skirts may be on ball joints, but they only wiggle around, but it's still not a problem, as the Master Grade red frame and the Master Grade blue frame can still pull off the 180 kick, because the front skirts are very small. Now, overall, you have to be careful when applying decals, because the decals can sometimes rub off. The construction of this can sometimes be a bit annoying, as you must attach this into the ball joint and then link this into a lock mechanism. However, the effects are actually very pleasing, and it was very simple, though it can be a bit annoying to build. This is the leg of the Master Grade red frame, and like with majority of the parts, this is also identical to the Master Grade blue frame second revised. However, it is still a very nice build. Now, for the colors, this is a very, very colorful leg, even though it only has 3 colors. Majority of the white will be on the back, as well as up in the upper thigh, and some down the knee armor, with some red parts just poking out and taking out majority of the calf parts. Now, for the bend, this is very impressive, as you will notice many, many sliding parts, and you get a full 180. It looks very cool and a lot better than the non-grade, and almost perfect grade quality. All of the things slide back very well, and it is very fun and very easy to build. Now, moving on to the lower parts, the ankles can move out very impressively off to both sides, and it has a 2-point articulation, so you can aim for more dynamic hoses. Overall, this is a very good leg, and probably the best Master Grade leg that I have ever built. Thank you for watching the first part of my review on the 1 to 100 scale Gundam Astray Red Frame Kai. In the next part of the review, we shall be going over the accessories like the action base, the tactical arms, and the katanas, as well as assembling the entire Gundam, checking out its posability, and giving it my final thoughts.